Hello, my name is Codemaster Jamal, and I'm an indie game developer. This will be a devlog for my 3D monster collecting mmorpg Virtual Monster. I'm sorry if the quality of my audio has dropped drastically, but as of right now, I don't actually have a mic to record audio for my videos. It's unfortunate, but I lost the Blue Yeti microphone that I had when I started this channel, so the quality of my audio may not be too great. Honestly, I wasn't too sure about doing devlogs, considering I really want to finish Virtual Monsters before I make any more content related to it. I've gone through a number of issues since the development of this game, and it just seems like the closer I get to finishing the game, the more issues and drama I have. Like, I can physically and mentally and spiritually finish the game, but there's still physical obstacles that stop me from finishing my project, primarily finances. Regardless, I still have a build that is ready. Worst case scenario, I might release that build if I end up not having enough time to finish my game. The build isn't finished, but it's probably the closest I'm going to get to having a finished game. There's still a lot of things for me to do with the game. A lot of this has to do with UI screens and building levels and special effects. A lot of the core features are done with the game. There's a lot of things I personally want to show off, but currently I just don't have enough time to show everything in one devlog. There's also a lot of things that I will showcase in other videos. If anything, I have a lot of content ready from the past years of making my game that I can show off. A lot of the footage I'm going to be showcasing is actually from 2023 and 2024. Since I've been told that I haven't updated the graphics in my game since the 5 years that people have been watching my channel, I decided to show a video where I did. For the most part, I have updated the graphics. It's a matter of what I showcase to you as a viewer of my channel. From a professional standpoint, it's actually not professional to make devlogs. This is why my game will never be a commercial game, and more importantly, this is not what commercial companies do. This is why commercial companies don't showcase how they build their games, because it's not very professional. Then again, I'm not professional, and I was purely building games as a hobby. It would be nice to live off of my games, but as of right now, it's not entirely possible, and if anything, it's been made impossible. Still, I'm going to try to make a living off my video games. I'll be showcasing some recent updates and also some updates related to the open beta of my game. Long story short, the open beta was definitely a huge failure. The recording of this video will be a lot different than normal, but let me know if you have any issues with audio throughout the video. Thanks for watching, and as always, enjoy watching this video. Feel free to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. This is another devlog for Virtual Monsters RPG. So this is actually the first thing I wanted to show you guys, is that I've been working on the Overworld map. Originally, I was going to show this off during the open beta. I actually wanted this level to be playable during the open beta, but honestly, I had a lot of issues in terms of technology. A lot of the programming that I've been doing, I'm using PHP 7.4, which is really out of date. And then I'm also using a very archaic system in terms of making the game multiplayer. In terms of making the game an MMO, well, the game's still massive in terms of its level size and the amount of levels that are actually in the game and the amount of things that are to do in the game. I can still make the game multiplayer using more up-to-date methods in terms of making the game multiplayer. The game just technically isn't online, but we can still give it some online features. So yes, it's still not an MMO. I advertise this as a MMORPG, but it's still massive. It can still be made into a multiplayer and can still be online. But for the most part, it's still just an RPG game. And as I've been building this game, it feels like it's actually better for me to build it as just an RPG game as actually a standalone RPG, if anything. I know that's actually not the correct terminology for it, but it's actually better if I just do it that way versus making it an MMORPG, because I can always add multiplayer and online features into the game later on. So I've actually been reworking the game a huge amount, just make it better to be played by everyone, essentially, just make it more playable. And I'm actually taking people's criticism, or at least advice, on actually building it as just a stable RPG first, because I know the term standalone actually isn't the correct term, even though I'm using that, but they're absolutely right that I should actually just focus on building it as an RPG first and then work on multiplayer and online features later. So definitely getting the game done a lot quicker because the real reason why I haven't shown too many things off in channel is because I've been working on the whole MMO aspect of the game, which takes a lot. But regardless, this is the last things I have to do for the game, which is build a lot of UI screens. Like, you're not going to see this in this devlog, but in another devlog, I already have like the next couple of videos planned out. I'm also going to be spending some time explaining some of the lore behind Virtual Monsters if I get a chance. The next couple of videos that are coming out, basically, you're going to be seeing like a lot of lore. I'm going to be working on a lot of UI screens. There's a lot of UI screens I have to finish up for the Overworld. There's a lot of UI screens I have to finish up for the edit domain system. There's a lot of UI screens I have to finish up for the battle system. That's all it is, basically. And then there's also just a general amount of 3D modeling and like animations I have to do for the game in general. So that's basically what what it is. But this is basically like an overview of Bleutopia. Bleutopia is like one of the 8 different countries that exist within the world of virtual monsters. Bleutopia is basically based off the United States, but it has a lot of influence from Japan. Once again, they said that I haven't been updating the graphics for the game, but I actually have, and I don't, when I say updating graphics, I don't plan to redo all my textures. I don't plan to redo any of my 3D models. I understand like you might just hate the idea that I'm still using a V-Word model as my player character, but I'm not going to be redoing any of that for this game. I feel like it took me a long time just to do it in general, and considering I haven't been using placeholder graphics for the game a very long time, like when I first started off making this game, they said I haven't updated in 5 years. I know that they're full of crap because I actually have. Considering when I first started showcasing this game, I was actually using a lot of placeholder graphics. So I stopped using placeholder graphics and I've actually replaced it with actual 3D models. So everything that you see in the game is actually going to be final. So I won't actually, yes, I'll be updating the graphics, meaning I'll be putting new graphics into the game, but in terms of like redoing 3D models, like if I was a commercial studio with a huge budget, yeah, sure, I'd do that. If I was like the Pokemon company or something like that, yeah, sure, I'd do that. But considering I'm a single guy doing the music, the code, the programming, I'm doing everything for the game myself. You may not like the animations, but a lot of the animations that I'm using are actually from Examo. So yes, it's tough criticism. I hear what you guys are saying, but deep down, I really shouldn't update it. Because I should, but like I shouldn't and I can't. I could. It's not that I can't. I could, but I really shouldn't. So I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing and just keep working on my game. Eventually, it's gonna get done. What I'm showcasing right now is like some earlier footage of me texture painting the actual content of Bleutopia, and I just hope you guys enjoy that. Basically, there's a lot of things that I wanted to show off in general. I really hope you enjoy this. Let's move on to the next thing. The next thing that I actually want to show off is that I actually had a few issues compiling the game. Well, not really, but basically there's a lot of scenes in the game, and I was actually looking up to see actually how many scenes you can actually put into the Unity game engine in order to compile. Currently, when the game is compiled, it's less than 1 gig, but I think by the time I'm actually done with this game, it might be a little over 1 gig or close to 2 gigs. So it might be a little hard to download for some people on their desktop, but for the most part, the game should compile completely. It's just that it takes a little while to compile. There's a possibility that this game could have over 20,000 scenes within it, mainly because there's over 8 different regions, 8 different real world regions, along with the 8 different virtual world regions. And you know, there's like 8 different cities within every region. And if you do the math on the top buildings that we have within the game, there's going to be a lot of scenes essentially. So like, there's definitely going to be a lot of things to play in the game if I can actually get it compiled. But there's a huge chance that I may not be able to get the game compiled. And if it does end up like that, I'm deeply sorry. But for right now, I'm really putting my faith in Unity. I'm making sure that this game is as good as possible. Overall, there's just going to be a lot of things to do in the game, basically. That's all I want to say about this little part here. Once again, they said I didn't update my graphics, but I've shown off actually quite a lot. You guys keep telling me to update my graphics, but a lot of the graphics I'm going to be putting into the game will actually, I'm using assets from the asset store. I'm also AI generating a few things here or there. I know a lot of people don't like the whole AI generation thing, and that's fine. Look, if you don't like AI generated 3D models, that's completely fine. You don't have to download it. You don't have to play the game. That's all it is. But just to show you that there's a lot of scenes in the game. Right now, I actually removed these scenes. The open beta tests of the game basically only had the test nav. You might remember it as a frozen path, but that's not really the frozen path. So that's why people think that I haven't updated the graphics for the game for a long time, because I keep showing off that one test area basically for the MMO. But I actually have a lot more in there. As you can see here, as I'm deleting the scenes inside of the compiler, inside of the build settings, there's actually a lot of scenes within the game. But like I said, I can't showcase everything for the game. I'm basically going to do my best to showcase as much as possible, but I literally can't put everything in one video. So these are just videos that I recorded as I was building my game, and I'm just showing it off to you guys. That's all it is. How it comes out in the end, I have no idea, but I'm just hoping for the best. So let's move on to the next thing. And now the next thing that I wanted to show off is that I've been working on different assets for the game. A lot of it has to do with the different buildings in the game. In terms of the music for the game, basically I kind of went with like the Japanese way of doing things, where they actually record the audio first and then they build, you know, they animate the characters in terms of like how they make anime, at least. Here in the West, basically they actually do the animation first and then they record the audio to it. The voice actor basically has to match, you know, their voice. At least they have to act out the scene, basically. It's really good, but in the East, in Japan at least, at least in like Asian countries, when they do anime, they actually record the audio first, and then the animators have to actually match up the lips to the voice actors' lines. That's all that is, essentially. So I went and I did the music first, and then afterwards, I kind of already made the assets to a certain degree. I made the music first, and then I went and made the scenes, essentially. So like, it may not match up, it may match up, who knows? For the most part, it's been working pretty well. I just went with that type of approach. I know that typically they build the scene first, and then afterwards they make the music for it, and that's completely fine. But I went with the opposite approach to it, where I'm going to make the music first because I am a musician first. Well, I'm an artist first before I'm a musician, and then I'm a musician before I'm a programmer, and I'm a programmer before I am a 3D modeler, before I am a game developer, etc., etc. It was better for me to just make the music first and then kind of like set up a lot of things. I'm showing off like the hair salon right here within the video. There's a hair salon, the barbershop. If you actually listen to the Virtual Monster soundtrack, I'm just putting that out there, that I actually have a track called Barbershop. I sort of use the track Barbershop for both the hair salon and the barbershop. So it's just two different places you can go to in order to change your hair. That's just something that I put into the game. And a lot of the music, you know, I can reuse for other scenes, essentially. For example, I can reuse the clothing store song for the bank, or I can reuse the chip store song for the popularity store. I can just reuse the music, basically. So it makes it like a little bit more efficient for me, but I still end up writing like over 100 songs. Once again, I didn't showcase any of the buildings in the game before, and I've been showcasing that recently. So like, there's been a lot of buildings. To say that I haven't been updating my graphics in 5 years is kind of an understatement, because all I've been doing is updating my graphics. But I also don't know what they mean also in terms of updating my graphics. They might mean something else. So if you have any idea what people might mean when they say like I'm not updating my graphics, just leave a comment in the comment section. I'll respond to it. The next thing is that, once again, all the assets I'm using for the buildings are actually off the Unity Asset Store. So if you don't like the graphics itself, these are just assets I got off the Unity Asset Store. That's just something I wanted to point out. So once again, they said I haven't updated my graphics, but I did showcase Bleutopia, and I did showcase a bit of the virtual world and how those things looked last year. And I think honestly it's just a lot of tough criticism, but I just wanted to showcase this a tad bit, that I've actually been working on the game a lot. There's just things I just haven't shown off because I actually want to finish product before I actually go and show people how I made my game. This is basically just a general idea of how I want to go about doing things. And I think in general, when it comes to devlogs, that's actually better if you actually finish your game and just record the footage of you making your game as you went along. The real reason why I liked indie game development, or at least YouTube game development, is that, especially when I started watching Thin Matrix, a lot of it has to do with watching Thin Matrix, is that I like the whole idea of how they showed a rough concept of the game, and then how they took that rough concept of the game and it became a finished product. I like the whole concept, but I think that the best way to actually do this, and I think that has actually a really cool effect on people when they see like, hey, look, it was just some really rough concept art first, and then they built it into the game that it was eventually. Like, they put a lot of polish on it. They spent a lot of time polishing and fixing things and fine-tuning things, and, you know, making things look pretty and sparkly and those type of things, adding special effects and etc, etc, etc. And that's what I think actually gives the game a lot of life in general. I like that type of concept, so that's why I actually like doing devlogs. That's why I like making devlogs, is showing people that, hey, look, when I built this game, I started off with something very simple, and then it became something beautiful. But I also don't think that it's actually a good concept in terms of commercial products. If you actually want to build something for a commercial release, I think it's actually better if you build your game first and then showcase how you build things later on. But the best way to actually go about doing devlogs is to just build your game first and then just record things as you go along. You can always do devlogs later on, especially when it comes to like press conferences and just like talks in general. So that's also something to keep in mind of, especially if you're an indie game developer, or if you're watching this video and you're thinking about doing devlogs, it's better just to build your game first and then do a devlog afterwards. Record things as you go along. And I guess in terms of the computer I was using before, I didn't have a lot of space on it, so like I couldn't save every video I had, essentially. So I had no choice but to do what I had to do. Eventually, you know, I got tired of doing that type of thing, and I was able to save a lot of my footage. I'm not going to say how I was saving my footage. Let's just say I have it backed up somewhere. It's tucked away really nice. And eventually, I'm going to go ahead and just finish my game, essentially. It takes me roughly a week to make a devlog. I have to write a script, and then afterwards, I have to record the script, and then I have to get all my footage, sync up all my audio to my footage, add transitions, special effects, etc, 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 because I have to actually go back and actually make the video. And then I have to make a thumbnail, video and then I have to post it to YouTube, and it takes a lot of work. Sometimes it can take me a good week. Sometimes it can take me a month just to make one video. So I've been making a lot of videos as I've been going along, and I feel like this is actually the best approach when it comes to YouTube, is actually make all your videos first and then upload it later, basically. There isn't a rush. Honestly, when I started my YouTube channel, I was competing with other people. Sometimes you shouldn't do that type of thing. You shouldn't try competing with people. You should try competing with yourself. For the most part, you should just focus on making your content, doing what you love, and stop worrying about other people's channels and how they're building, because you don't know how things are going to turn out. Yes, it looks like it's great at first, but the future is always something random. You never know what's going to happen in the future. So you have to expect the unexpected, like Cardcaptor Sakura. I'm a big fan of anime. Just keep that in mind when you're making videos. Sometimes it's better just to go ahead, finish your game, and then make devlogs. Especially if your game gets popular, that's the best thing to do, is to make devlogs. And I made devlogs as a way of getting people more into my game, but in all honesty, all it did was cause me a lot of trouble. So the best thing I could have ever did was just finish my game first and then make devlog. If people are interested in how I built my game, you could go ahead and make devlogs. So keep that in mind. So let's move on to the next thing. So the next thing I actually wanted to showcase was I actually worked on the rotation of the monster during the battle mode. Basically, I had an issue before that when we're using a special move, it rotates the character. Or at least when you're targeting a monster and use a special move, it rotates the camera. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I'm using a pivot for the camera in the battle system. It's not necessarily a procedural generation of the animation, but basically the character would face its target before it fires its move, essentially, before it uses its attack. So I basically took out that animation because it rotates the quaternion on the y-axis. I really couldn't fix that. I thought it was a really cool effect, but I really couldn't fix that type of thing. And then basically I could either have it where the camera doesn't change and we still rotate the character. Basically, because I'm rotating things on the y-axis, it rotates the pivot a tad bit. And there was just nothing I can do about that. Like, I tried like a lot of different things. I looked up things on Unity, the Unity forums, ChatGPT. I looked up a lot of things, and there's basically nothing I can do about that. So the best thing I could do is to just take out the rotation, because I'm purposely rotating the character. That's what causes the rotation on the camera, and that's what causes that type of error. So I just took that type of thing out and I moved on to the next thing. That was just something I wanted to put in. That's a more recent update. It's not really an update, but it's just a more recent update. Eventually the battle system that you see is going to become more polished, and you're going to start to see what it's really like to fight other tamers and fight other monsters in the game. It's going to be kind of fun. So I hope you guys don't miss out on that type of thing, and just look out for it. So let's move on to the next thing. And finally, I wanted to show you a more recent look of Bleutopia. Basically, this is what the Bleutopia map looks like more currently in the game. I haven't really touched it too much since I've made this recording. People telling me I didn't update my graphics, but I really did. I just didn't showcase it. I didn't make a devlog for it. But basically, this is closer to what I wanted to put out for the open beta. I knew it wasn't a finished map, but this is actually what I wanted people to play during the open beta. But let's just say the system I had been using to make my MMO is very archaic, that if I was making a MMO back in 2015, this would have been perfect. It's not 2015, it was 2025. And now it's currently 2026, so I had to move on eventually. I'm really happy how things turned out. There's a part of the map called the Frozen Path. I'm not sure if this is going to sync up too properly, but I'm hoping by now I'm showcasing the Frozen Path and you can see it in the video. But basically, I'm going to show you like parts of the Frozen Path, which is also a song that's off the third album for Virtual Monster's soundtrack. Once again, if you guys want to support me as a musician or a game developer, etc., that's why I made those albums in the first place, that you can go ahead and listen to the soundtrack of the game. I would greatly appreciate it, essentially, if you go ahead and just listen to my song a few times. If you want to use it on social media, you can use it on social media. You can use it however you want. Just make sure you give me credit at some point and just tell people where you got the music from. Actually, that's the best way to actually support me as a creator, is to just go ahead and listen to my music, because it's free for you to listen to it. If you go to YouTube Music or you go to Apple Music, well, probably not Apple Music as much or Amazon Music, but definitely if you go to YouTube Music or Spotify, you can listen to it. I would greatly appreciate it, basically, because it helps supports the game. So if you really are a Virtual Monsters fan, go ahead and listen to music a couple of times. And what I learned about this in general is that I have no friends, basically. That's why I do this in the first place. I'm a lonely guy. I had the wrong concept when it came to making games. And at this point, I just want to finish Virtual Monsters. There's a lot of things that have to do with this level, and I'm actually really happy that I stopped trying to make it an MMO, because now I can actually focus on making it an actual game. I can actually focus on just the UI, I can actually focus on just the 3D models, I can actually focus on the animations, I can actually focus on other things outside of it being multiplayer, because that's why I haven't shown off too many things, because what I've really showcased a lot was multiplayer. I've showcased a lot of multiplayer, and I still have a lot of videos. A lot of it has to do with music, a lot of it has to do with programming. There's still other YouTube videos that I want to make, but like I said, it takes time making YouTube videos. It takes me like roughly a minimum of a week, and I have to sit down and, you know, basically basically, I still have to work a job because I have to put a roof over my head. I need money for food. I have to pay my car. I have my own expenses. That's why eventually things just did not work out and it failed essentially, but not entirely. I figured out the best way for me to actually finish my game is to just, it sounds really stupid, it's just to go absolutely broke. I may not include that in the video, but basically, right now I'm working on my game 24/7. It's still a mission just to get food. Basically, I have to do some things to get food. I'm living off the government assistance. It's not that bad. It could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse, and I don't want to give anybody ideas for how much bad they can make my life. It works out in the end, basically. Right now, I'm working on the game full-time, so like I'll be able to produce updates for the game a lot quicker. But in terms of showcasing the game, videography is not a skill set within game development. So I have to stop working on my game in order to work on a YouTube video. It's like I'm using a different part of my brain. They say that like one side of the brain is meant for physical activities, the other side of the brain is meant for things like music and literature, more scientific things. When I'm working on a video, I'm using a different side of my brain versus when I'm developing a game, I'm using a different side of my brain. If you know anything about electricity, you know, two wires, they can't cross, etc., etc., etc. There's some science to it. I just don't want to explain it. But basically, that's what it is, essentially. When I'm working on videos, it's like I'm a videographer, but when I'm working on the game, I'm a game developer. I can't go back and forth between the both of them, so like I prefer to just focus on the game development thing and then do videos later. That's just my personal standpoint for it. If you don't agree with it, that's completely fine. Honestly, I'm not a videographer. That's what it is. I'm not that great at making videos, but I do my best to make videos. And I see that I'm getting close to 1,000 subscribers. I still need the watch time in order to monetize off of YouTube. I still need 4,000 minutes of watch time within 1 year in order to monetize off of YouTube. So that's something I'm going to focus on after I get 1,000 subscribers and after I finish my game. Right now, I really just want to finish the game, so that's why I stopped caring about other things. After I finish the game, I'll move on to the next thing. That's about it. And here we are at the outro of the video. If you've been watching this video and you feel like supporting the video, or you feel like supporting me as a game developer, or you feel like supporting my YouTube channel, feel free to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment in the comment section below. I appreciate all the comments that you guys leave, regardless if it's negative or not. I still like it. Once again, you can also support us by buying merch off of our merch store. There's a lot of Virtual Monsters goodies on there. There's a lot of goodies related to Tales of Amajaria. So there's a lot of different things that are in there, essentially. I got tired of a lot of tough criticism. At this point, I'm just focusing on YouTube. I'm trying not to make too much content for Instagram and TikTok, but I still produce content for them. And regardless, you guys have a great one. Until next time, this is Codemaster Jamal, and I'm signing out.